Greetings, everyone. This is Terry Naturally with another edition of Terry Talks Nutrition. We're here every weekend, same time, same station. Join us for more talks, feature topics, scientific information on how we can be healthier, have more vitality, more energy, and maybe a longer lifespan, as well as a health span. It's up to us. No one else can change our health. Oh, there may be an occasion where a medication or a prescribed drug may be necessary, depending on the severity of the condition. But our health and all the diseases that we fight against, all the way from arthritis to type 2 diabetes, to metabolic syndrome, to even cancer, are caused by our lifestyle choices. I don't believe there will ever be a drug or a cure for cancer that will work. Sometimes it's just the roll of the dice. It's just not bad luck. We're just not unfortunate. God's not mad at us. We're not being punished. It's due to our choices. And this is something I say all the time because you and I develop a style, a lifestyle choice, a lifestyle that brings about the degree of health that we have, that we enjoy now. And if you don't enjoy your health now, you can change it. Change your diet and change your health. It's as simple as that. Now, you may not agree with what the changes are because you can't live the way you are living now, not enjoying health due to what you are choosing in the lifestyle that you have. Those things will have to go away. And a new beginning, a new diet, a new degree of exercise, better sleep, all the things that roll into a better life. Now, you may not want to. You may not have the discipline. You may not want to sacrifice, the pleasures of life. I can't do without desserts. I was at a lecture one time, and I was talking to the audience after the lecture, and someone said, "You mean you want me to give up desserts?" I'd give up sex before desserts. I mean, how I can't believe that some people are so trying to hang on to the pleasures rather than to health. We can have better health, no matter how bad you are in terms of your health status and how old you are. Nothing of that matters. We can get healthier every day, every week, every month, every year. I know a lot of people say, I don't want to live longer. I feel so bad now, I don't want to live any longer. If I have 10 more years of this life, I don't think I can do it. But you don't have to live this way. You don't have to live with the style of health you have. You can change it. And that's why we're here every weekend to tell you ways to change it. There are many ways to change our health, but food is number one. Diet is number one. Not that you're dieting to lose weight, but you're choosing a better quality of diet to have a better quality of life, to have a better quality of health. And we can do it. I mean people all over the country that are elderly, which is called a senior citizen. And they're vibrant. They're full of joy. They're happy. but they take care of themselves. Then I find people in their 40s that are so decrepit, they're in bad shape. It all depends on the choices we make and whether they are good choices or bad choices. Good choices, good health. Bad choices, bad health. So we are here to share with you a variety of topics, of issues, of science that shows you there is a better way. Not to just eat what you want, live the way you want, and then depend on drugs to keep you somewhat surviving. You don't have to have high blood pressure. You don't have to have type 2 diabetes. You don't have to have all the conditions that cause ill health. Metabolic syndrome. There's 5 signs and symptoms of metabolic syndrome. Being overweight, having type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all the things that we are fighting today with drugs, we can change with a change of diet. And if we have insulin resistance, where the body can no longer use the insulin that is produced, and then we have diabetes, type 2. It has been estimated that 30 to 40 million people have type 2 diabetes, and another 100 million that are pre-diabetic. And diabetes or type 2 is optional. The 2 most common signs and symptoms that cause us to have type 2 diabetes. Number 1, obesity, overweight. Anybody with a beer belly or a bread belly or a pot belly, that fat called visceral fat, the fat within the abdominal cavity, is one of the most common signs of ill health. Heart disease, type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, pre-diabetic, high blood pressure. I may have mentioned that, but high blood pressure. And all these conditions are causing us to have metabolic syndrome or metabolic diseases. And we're here to help share some information that can possibly change your life. So today we're going to talk about lactoferrin. 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 We'll talk about shingles and dementia. Do they go together? And we'll talk about vitamin E, like Edward, E, vitamin E. We'll also talk, this is really a crazy one. They did a study about the Mediterranean diet, which is plenty of seafood, because they live on such beautiful seas and waters, teeming with fish. So they eat a lot of fish. They don't eat a lot of beef or cattle because they don't raise cattle in the Mediterranean countries. A lot of seafood, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, olive oil, and a little wine. The Mediterranean diet. They did a study of the Mediterranean diet versus a diet from McDonald's, a meal McDonald's, and the effect of red wine, and how to fight seasonal depression. And then we're going to take a look at the real bad fat, triglycerides. It's not cholesterol. Cholesterol is not the bad fat. Cholesterol is not the enemy. Triglycerides is the enemy. Then we'll talk about a deadly liver disease, hepatitis. All these conditions we'll talk today on how you can make some drastic changes. Lactoferrin. Some call it a miracle molecule. Lacto, L-A-C-T-O, equals milk. Stands for milk. Lacto, like lactose. Ferrin, F-E-R-R-I-N, equals iron. So you have milk and iron. Lactoferrin. Lactoferrin is an iron-binding milk protein. And it is the second most abundant protein in human milk. But our cells can also produce lactoferrin, and it is found throughout the body. While iron is an essential nutrient, excess iron can be toxic as it creates plenty of free radical damage. It feeds dangerous bacteria. Bacteria require iron to multiply. Now, lactoferrin, the milk protein, does not contain iron, but it normalizes iron and keeps it in a proper balance and level in the body, and increases the absorption of iron. Iron is very difficult to be absorbed. It's a very heavy metal and difficult to be absorbed. If you take a very poor quality iron, like iron sulfate, if you take about 200 milligrams of iron sulfate, you probably will absorb about 2 milligrams, about 1%. But lactoferrin helps both iron absorption in the intestines and binds excess iron in the bloodstream to keep it away from bacteria and preventing it from damaging cells. One expert notes that lactoferrin is present wherever the body needs a quick and effective immune protecting substance. If you need more iron, definitely add lactoferrin along with your iron. It can help a lot to maintain a proper balance and level of iron in the body. Here's a study. On 80 kids, the average age of the kids was 11 years of age. With both inflammatory bowel disease, IBS, and UC, otherwise ulcerative colitis, and iron deficiency anemia, were treated with either 200 milligrams of ferrous sulfate, a very, very difficult form of iron to be absorbed, or 100 milligrams of lactoferrin for 3 months. Lactoferrin was superior at increasing serum iron levels, more than double the iron values, and no adverse effects were reported for the lactoferrin, while iron supplements frequently cause side effects, such as constipation. Lactoferrin significantly reduced inflammation. There's a marker called IL-6. And if you have plenty of IL-6, that means you have a very high level of inflammation in the body. Now, lactoferrin could significantly reduce this inflammatory marker, which is a sign that it's reducing the inflammation in the body. There were no changes in the group on ferrous sulfate. Lactoferrin also has antiviral benefits. Here's a study of adults 17 to 104 who were tested positive for COVID. All patients received standard drug treatment as it was appropriate for the individuals, like ibuprofen, acetaminophen. Additionally, for treatment, half the patients treated with lactoferrin, dosages from 200 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams, and the results of this study, the patients who also received lactoferrin tested negative for COVID 46% sooner, with no difference in time to symptom resolution for those 40 and younger. For those over 40, the symptoms resolution was up to 8 days sooner. They recovered more quickly, and they were found to be negative 8 days sooner. Not only does it have antiviral benefits, but it also has antibacterial benefits. Lactoferrin tears down the cellular walls of bacteria, actually killing the bacteria, not boosting the immune system only, which it does. And the immune system normally would take care of the bacteria, but lactoferrin actually tears down the cellular walls of bacteria, causing the bacteria to disintegrate, destroy it. Now, Streptococcus is a human-specific bacterial pathogen that causes mild symptoms to life-threatening invasive infection. Exposing Streptococcus to lactoferrin killed off all of the pathogen, the survival of the pathogen, by almost 90%. And in tests of antibiotic-resistant bacteria, you know, the bacteria that has gotten so strong that it resists any antibiotic action or activity. They use antibiotics, but it doesn't kill off the bacteria because they're resistant to the antibiotic. They have built up a stronger response to the antibiotics. But exposure to lactoferrin reduced bacterium numbers by 90%. Now, there are many other uses for lactoferrin. That's why they call it the miracle molecule. It has so many other benefits. If you haven't heard about lactoferrin, I would suggest highly that you use it to build up and boost up your immune system and to kill outright bacteria and viruses. And also, it is used highly effectively against hepatitis. 55% response to treatment for hepatitis C patients who received lactoferrin in addition to standard drug treatment versus 18% response in patients who did not. Much more effective with lactoferrin. In the case of candidiasis, candida, women with vaginal candida, the infections from the candida, all received standard drug treatment plus either lactoferrin with a probiotic or a placebo. After 6 months, only 29% of the lactoferrin probiotic group had experienced a relapse versus 100% of the patients having a relapse in the placebo group. And what about wound healing? It's a common problem when there are surgical wounds after surgical treatment to use a topical lactoferrin on the wound. Healing was attained in 1 to 2 weeks versus 2 to 3 months for classical surgical treatment. How to use lactoferrin? It's a milk protein. It's a powder. For outstanding immune benefits, the best research that I've seen is a combination of lactoferrin and propolis. Propolis is a substance collected by the bees from vegetation in the environment of where the bees are, the colony or the hive. And they collect this vegetation, which has a high level of polyphenols. And they bring that back into the colony. They mix it with beeswax and their saliva to make it into a putty or a glue, and use it as a sanitary treatment to keep bacteria and viruses out of the hive. They use it to seal the cracks and crevices. And they put a ring of the propolis around the opening to the colony so that if anything comes in through the hole, it decontaminates that creature or whoever came through the hole to the colony or the hive. Now, when you combine lactoferrin with propolis, now you have a huge combination synergistically, because when you add 1, 2, or 3 substances together, they work on a variety of pathways and a variety of ways of killing off the bacteria or the viruses. So this combination was a prevention and treatment of respiratory infection, viral or bacterial, common cold, influenza, bronchitis, sinusitis, and COVID-19. Also candida and other fungal infections, canker sores, fever blisters, gastrointestinal problems like peptic ulcers associated with H. pylori. And this combination also helped for treating anemia, preventing obesity, lowering blood sugar and increasing insulin sensitivity, preventing heart disease, and reducing the risk of cancer and more. And the blessing of it all, it is absolutely safe for kids. There are no known side effects. All breast milk of animals or humans contains a high level of lactoferrin. The first few days of providing a fluid from the breast is not milk. It's colostrum. And the colostrum has a very, very high concentration of lactoferrin. It's one of the highest sources of lactoferrin. But if you want it in a chewable tablet or a capsule, it's also available now in the U.S. Take 75 milligrams of lactoferrin with 75 milligrams of propolis. And to increase the absorption, look for one that has added gamma cyclodextrin to increase the absorption daily. 75 milligrams of lactoferrin and 75 milligrams of propolis with gamma cyclodextrin now could be up to 300 or 400 milligrams, because it boosts how much you absorb of these two powerful nutrients. It is extremely effective. the combination. You get so much synergism, meaning that they work together as partners to strengthen your immune system, to work on different pathways that are involved with bacteria and viruses, and you get a much bigger result, much better result, better health. So I'm going to pause here for a few seconds to allow the station to identify itself and air some commercials. I'm not going away, and I hope you don't go away either unless you've got something very special to do. Go do it. But I've got a lot more to share with you. Come back right here on Terry Talks Nutrition. I'm Terry Naturally. And welcome back, my friends. Welcome back to Terry Talks Nutrition. I'm Terry Naturally. We're here until the top of the hour. We've got lots more coming your way. We just did a whole segment on, and I wanted to take a lot of time to talk about our subject in the first half hour of this program, Lactoferrin and propolis, two of the most mighty substances, alternatives, medicines that can strengthen your immune system, outright kill bacteria and viruses and fungal infection without any side effects whatsoever. There is no known side effects. Propolis is just a combination of polyphenols gathered from vegetation closely to wherever the bees have a colony or a hive, and that sterilizes any contaminants of the hive so the colony survives. And lactoferrin is a milk protein commonly fed the baby of the mother, human or animal. It is in the first few days after birth that colostrum is fed through the breast, and colostrum has the highest concentration of lactoferrin. So it's protecting the infant immediately. But you can also take lactoferrin that's extracted from milk. It is a dried powder put into capsules or tablets. I like to use a chewable tablet combined with gamma-cyclodextrin for better absorption, increased absorption for the immune system, and for outright killing off viral infection, bacterial infection, and fungal infection. Both lactoferrin and propolis are antimicrobials. That means they kill off all form of pathogens. And tons of studies on both propolis and lactoferrin. Now we're going to get into a different topic. Shingles. What does shingles have to do with dementia, short-term memory loss, or Alzheimer's disease, or any other form of dementia? Well, shingles is linked to dementia. Researchers analyzed the data from 150,000 people. This group of population was collected as part of the Nurses' Health Study with health information for participants going back over 30 years of research. And they found a significant association between herpes infection and dementia. This versus never having a shingles infection. Herpes infection, shingles, increase the risk of dementia by 20%. Shingles can affect the brain. In severe infections and cause encephalitis or swelling of the brain. But the virus also can directly damage brain cells. Brain inflammation and cell damage ages the brain faster and increases the risk of dementia. What should you know about shingles? Well, it's part of the chickenpox family. And once you have had chickenpox, the virus never goes away. You have it for life. And actually, it lays dormant in the body for years until one day, when the immune system is weakened by illness or burning the candle at both ends or high stress levels, then the virus can react, which is called shingles. And the virus lays dormant within the nervous system. So every scab, every hot spot on the trunk of the body, head, even in the eyes, ears, everywhere, that virus travels up the nervous system, the nerve, and breaks out on the trunk or head or eyes at the end of the nervous system at the surface of the skin. Now, how do you deal with shingles and any outbreak from shingles? Well, elderberry, a berry that's grown in Austria, neutralizes the virus and activates the immune system. So the ideal way is to take about 300 milligrams with vitamins A, C, D3 and E, calcium lactate, magnesium, zinc, selenium, and citrus bioflavonoids. Now that's a combination of nutrients that has a wide range of activity, boosting the immune system, and lay dormant the shingles, because you have quieted the virus. Yes, it'll be with you all the time. It'll never go away. I can imagine when I was about 10 years of age, I was home from school for a month. I had about 2 weeks of chickenpox and about 2 weeks of measles. I had that virus within me. I had cold sores and fever blisters all the time. Never did I have shingles. I have never, ever had shingles. But that same virus from chickenpox is still in my body. And they try to convince you that you need an injection to kill the virus. You can't kill the virus. It's going to be with you all the time anyway. So our job is to maintain a healthy immune system. And when we have a weakened immune system, that's when shingles can break out. So we want to strengthen the immune system. Stay as healthy as we possibly can. Reduce stress through any means, because stress, lack of sleep, burning the candle at both ends, having a party all the time, all that weakens the immune system. And then that virus from the chickenpox family in the nervous system shows its ugly head and pops up and causes shingles. Sometimes with people that have very weakened immune system. I ran into a gentleman one time that was fighting cancer. So his immune system was pretty well shot. He went through a tremendous amount of chemotherapy, radiation, for 5 years. He was fighting for his life. And his immune system was in the toilet. So he had shingles for 5 years. That man was so burdened with, I don't know how he could withstand it. But we can strengthen the immune system. Support the nerves, because the virus is in the nerve. Not from the immune system, but it's actually in the nervous system. So we want to make sure that we quiet the virus and again lay it dormant. And we can do this with a number of nutrients like B6, B12, biotin, folate, pantothenic acid, alpha-lipoic acid, chromium, zinc, boswellia. All these nutrients that are primarily what some people say, people that have a neuropathy. These are the same level of nutrients and the same kind of nutrients to fight neuropathy, because they also have a nervous condition. And all of this is brought on by sugar. We consume so much sugar and so much carbohydrates that we have insulin resistance, which then causes all these complications. And then, just to assure that I had the best chance possible, I would add P. And that is the word PEA, like peas, PEA. But it's an acronym for a 21-letter word that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. But it also has been shown. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, I did a show on P. Go back to listen to my radio show where I talked extensively on the substance called P. It's a vitamin supplement. Not a vitamin, I shouldn't say that. It's a nutrient that the body can make. It's a fatty acid. The body can make it. But in times of stress, it can't make enough. And it has been shown in clinical studies to reduce pain associated with shingles by at least 50%. Boy, if you reduced, I know people that have the shingles, and they are screaming in pain. And if you can reduce that by 50%, but P can be used for any kind of pain, joint pain, any kind of nervous pain, nerve pain, TMJ, any kind of nerve pain. And this is a nerve condition. Give up sugar, because sugar causes the nervous system to go screwy. And then you've got shingles. You've got neuropathy. You've got an immune system that's not working. You have all kinds of conditions, viral infections, fungal infections, all of these conditions by sugar causing insulin resistance. Let's talk about the nutrient of the day. There are so many vitamins and minerals, we could talk about them for a long time. But let's just think about vitamin E. E like Edward. Vitamin E. Vitamin E is an antioxidant. It protects your brain against oxidative stress. Researchers were interested in the ability of dietary antioxidants, including vitamin E, to slow cognitive decline and delay the onset of dementia in seniors and those of middle-aged. Without antioxidants, the brain can be damaged by free radicals, which increases the risk of memory problems and dementia. Almost 2,500 subjects, participants, reported their normal diets and underwent mental function tests at the beginning of the study and again 4 years later. People with diets containing vitamin E plus carotenoids, beta-carotene. So food like carrots, squash, had consistently higher scores for better memory, better cognitive function, better attention, better learning skills, better thinking, and better self-control. What should we know about vitamin E? Well, actually, vitamin E is a family. It's a combination of tocopherols. and tocotrienols and tocopherols. Alpha tocopherol is the best known member, but all of the vitamin E compounds have antioxidant and health benefits. Don't just take vitamin E by itself, where it just says alpha tocopherol. You want a mixed complex of vitamin E, where they're all there together. There's 7 or 8, not just alpha. You want all of them. And also look for D-alpha, the natural form. D-alpha, dog, D-alpha, A-L-P-H-A, alpha. It's the natural source. If you see D-L-alpha, that's synthetic. So look for the D-alpha, not the D-L-alpha. You can also look for mixed tocopherols. And that is the best form. The mixed tocopherols for the best benefits from vitamin E. Also avoid the synthetic. The isolated synthetic vitamin E does not contain the rest of the vitamin E complex or family. It's synthetic. It's produced from oil, not seed oil, where a lot of vitamin E is found in seed oil, like wheat germ, or other sources of oil, like flaxseed oil, contains vitamin E. But you want all of the family of vitamin E, not just the synthetic, because the synthetic DL-alpha tocopherol is only half as effective as the natural form. It's produced from petroleum. Wow, this one blows my mind. How anybody could come up with a diet bought at McDonald's and do a study with a diet from or a meal from McDonald's versus the Mediterranean meal. Crazy. Well, red wine is a healthy drink, although in moderation. You don't drink 2 or 3 bottles on the weekend. You have a glass or 2 daily. So here's an actual study, which blows my mind. Researchers tested a Mediterranean meal and a McDonald's meal, each with and without red wine, to determine the effects of each on oxidative stress and inflammation levels. 24 volunteers had their antioxidant and inflammation levels tested and then consumed in a random order with a 3-week washout period between the Mediterranean diet, or the Mediterranean meal, I should say, the Mediterranean meal with red wine, McDonald's meal, and McDonald's meal with red wine. And the results: the McDonald's meal significantly increased oxidation and inflammation. So the diet, or the meal, I should say, from McDonald's caused oxidative stress. That means damaging the cells in the body to the point where there is other diseases like cancer, and inflammation. Makes your joints hurt. Cause type 2 diabetes, heart disease. Inflammation affects all conditions of the body. And while reducing the important antioxidants, including glutathione. These adverse effects were mostly neutralized when the McDonald's meal was accompanied by red wine. Now, McDonald's meal gets better because of the red wine. The Mediterranean meal, on its own, without the wine, reduced oxidative stress, reduced inflammation. But the results were even better when consumed with red wine. So the key to this, though, is moderation. Just because red wine is effective as a health drink, drinking more is not better. They have found that mostly women should drink 1 glass of red wine daily. If you drink wine. Doesn't mean you have to go out and drink wine to be healthier. Eat a healthy diet, and you can reduce the red wine. And the important key to this, moderation. The study amount of wine was about 8.5 ounces of wine with their meals. Why does red wine work? It's like a lot of vegetables and fruits that have very high concentration of protective polyphenols, including resveratrol. Now, the interesting fact on this, in red wine, you've got about 1 milligram of resveratrol. But people today are selling resveratrol like 500 milligrams in a capsule or tablet. Why 500 when a glass of wine contains 1, and that's what works? Because when you're taking resveratrol in a capsule or tablet, it's very, very, very poorly absorbed. But there are synergistic compounds in the red wine, including the alcohol, that increases the absorption of resveratrol from wine. You're better off to drink a glass of red wine than buying resveratrol. But only allow yourself, for women, 1 glass daily. Men can be up to 2 glasses daily. You get the effects of a very, very protective food. Now winter is coming on. How are we going to fight seasonal depression, which is commonly associated with winter? So does winter make you sad? For 18 million Americans, this time of year brings depression, very depressed moods, increased anxiety, known as SAD, S-A-D, seasonal affective disorder. SAD is a type of depression that starts and ends around the same time every year. Usually it is tied to a decreased daylight and is triggered in the fall and the winter months. SAD is an extreme version of the winter blues. Winter blues is a mild change in mood and a lack of energy, bringing on chronic fatigue and exhaustion. SAD is a mood changer, so extreme it interferes with your ability to enjoy life and carry out your daily activities. A clinical study at light therapy versus vitamin D as a treatment for seasonal affective disorder. Half of the subjects received light treatments for 1 month. Half of the subjects received a dose of 100,000 IUs of vitamin D. Now, you're not going to take 100,000 units of vitamin D. This was a study. I'm citing the study on vitamin D. This was probably a week or 2-week dosage. It might even be up to a month. Don't take 100,000 IUs of vitamin D. Don't do this at home, as they say. This is a study. But they wanted to have them receive a high dose of vitamin D. All subjects received vitamin D saw improvement as measured by a standard depression scale, while there were no changes in the depression scores of the people receiving light therapy. And saffron, as effective as Prozac. Saffron, with a blend of curcumin, both saffron by itself, curcumin by itself, was as effective as Prozac in the treatment of depression, reduced depressive symptoms by 47% versus placebo in a clinical trial. So try about 265 milligrams of saffron, curcumin, which is a blend, the two together, synergistically working together, clinical proven dosages, and also I would add PEA, about 300 to 600 milligrams daily. That's an excellent combination. All these were able to reduce depression. All mental states can be greatly improved by following a ketogenic diet, whether it be bipolar, depression, SAD, schizophrenia, all these conditions, even feeling blue, were greatly improved by following the ketogenic diet. And that, my friends, I'm all out of time. I've got to run, but I'll be back. And I hope you all get out there too. Don't run, walk is good too. But do some exercise and say a prayer for this crazy world. God bless you, my friends, and God bless this great country.
Thank you for listening to Terry Talks Nutrition Weekly Show. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform, including Apple, Google, and iHeartRadio.